are we? We are the Philippine Retailers Association, the pulse and voice of Philippine retail, recognized as a national organization of retailers and suppliers in the country. The PRA membership represents nearly 80% of the retail industry, which counts all major players like SM, Robinsons, Ayala Malls, Rustan's, Araneta Center, Bench, Mercury Drug, Pen Shop, Wilcon Depot, and more. So why join PRA? It is our goal to get your business in the right track, and to make this possible, the PRA offers exclusive privileges that will surely add value to your membership. PRA members in good standing can enjoy exclusive discounts for their music licensing under PhilSCAP, which is required by the law in compliance with the Intellectual Property Code of the Philippines. As the pulse and voice of retail, we represent your interests on issues confronting the industry, such as bills on the further liberalization of the retail trade, music copyright issue, contractualization, use of thermal POS printers, price tag law, among others. As a member, you can take advantage of special rates and discounts for various educational programs and projects we regularly conduct to help you advance and develop your skills and competencies and help your business grow. There are seminars, conferences, and expos, high-level and exclusive meetings, which will give you infinite opportunities for the growth and development of your business. As part of our commitment to also help retailers in the regions have access to our educational programs, we conduct regional roadshows all over the country. The PRA also conducts a 2-day career expo, which seeks to generate continuous source of qualified candidates for various levels and positions in the retail business. It is strategically held in malls to help generate increased foot traffic and correspondingly help increase sales for the retailers. PRA members enjoy exclusive privileges through the PRA BizCard, a unique program which offers members exclusive discounts, special offers, and other offerings from associate members and other suppliers. At the same time, it also allows a business-to-business transaction between regular and associate members, which is mutually beneficial for both parties, where trust and loyalty can be established. And since we want to add more value to your membership, we are offering the PRA Premier Members Card, a rewards program to serve and incentivize all members who are actively participating in PRA events and programs. We encourage and recognize Filipino retailers who have epitomized the model of success in terms of growth and good ethical best practices through the Outstanding Filipino Retailers and Shopping Center of the Year Awards, or OFRC. To support members in their employee recognition programs, the PRA spearheaded the Retail Employees Day program for the Philippines, which is celebrated every December 12. With the support of all members of the PRA, we recognize and celebrate retail employees for their role in the retail business. You have exclusive access to information and publications for industry development available in the PRA library. Through your membership in the PRA, we can help grow your network and access to local international networks through our affiliations with large influential business organizations locally and globally, like the Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the Employers Confederation of the Philippines, the Federation of Asia-Pacific Retailers Association, the Federation of International Retail Associations, and the National Retail Federation, the world's largest retail organization. Such networks provide unlimited benefits of being connected to the local and global world of business and retail. So, who can be a member? All retailers in all formats, shopping centers, as well as suppliers of products and services to the retail industry are encouraged to join and be a part of the PRA community. How to become a PRA member? We have 3 types of membership to cater to your needs. There's a regular membership for those who are directly involved in the retail business. Associate membership for corporations or entities engaged in the business of supplying products or services to retailers. And chapter members who are any organized group of retailers doing business in the Philippines. Being a member of the PRA will give your company endless possibilities and opportunities to give your company what it needs to grow, expand, prosper, and become globally competitive. Because at PRA, our only business is helping your business grow.
Good day to our retailers and leaders from partner industries. I'm Raf Layosa of Retailgate Technologies and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Retail, a digital initiative of the Philippine Retailers Association featuring key movers and shakers who are motivating and inspiring the dynamic retail sector. Now, we have exciting guests today who will be sharing the best practices of the global brand they represent and how they are continuously loved and patronized by customers from all over the world, across cultures and continents. But before we head to our conversation, the first 8 episodes of Let's Talk Retail are available on demand. You can watch these episodes whenever and wherever you may be. Just go to the PRA YouTube channel and click the Let's Talk Retail playlist. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss the next episodes. Now, to introduce to you our guests for this episode. First off, joining us is a leader from one of the biggest home furnishing retailers in the world. He came from the hospitality business and started his journey with Ikea in a store in Graz, Austria in 1989 and was in various functions in 7 different countries during his career and in global assignments for Ikea. In his last assignment, he launched the Ikea brand successfully in Croatia. In 2016, he joined Ikea Southeast Asia and came to the Philippines to lead the startup of Ikea Philippines in the role of Market Development Manager. He is a passionate retailer with 30 years experience, and he has a great enthusiasm for home furnishing and sees people's loyalty as an important asset and pillar for a sustainable success. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Georg Platzer. Hi, Georg.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hey, Georg, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you very much.
Where are you calling from, Georg?
Actually, I am in Makati, in the Philippines.
Oh, you're just here in the Philippines, Makati. Oh, great.
Yes.
So thank you so much for joining us this afternoon, Georg. Now, joining Georg for this episode is IKEA's Managing Director for Southeast Asia and Mexico, one among a dozen IKEA franchisees that bring affordable Swedish home furnishings to dozens of countries. He is responsible for a multinational team of 3,500 co-workers in 6 markets: Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, the Philippines, Vietnam, and Mexico. Guided by the IKEA vision to create a better everyday life for the many people, he oversees operations at 9 IKEA stores, 5 shopping centers anchored by IKEA, as well as joint venture real estate developments in Southeast Asia. He has led Ikano's retail operations since 2011, tripling its turnover and embedding sustainability into everyday work and operations. Please welcome on screen Christian Rojkjaer. Hi, Christian.
Thanks a lot for that welcome. You're fantastic to be here.
Yeah, thank you for joining us for this episode, Christian. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from my home in Singapore, where we are still, due to the pandemic, working from home. Yeah.
Yes, we're all working in that situation, right? So anyway, let's just jump right into the conversation. When we think of IKEA, we know this as the very big and successful home furniture brand, right? So would you tell us more about it? Because this is still, we know that it's already coming to the Philippines, but we want to know more about the brand. So what's really the concept and the inspiration behind it? What's the story behind that, Christian?
Now we can go all the way back to the 40s maybe, where Ingvar Kamprad, the founder of IKEA, started the business, because a lot of what he did back then is still valid today. That he felt that having a home, having a wonderful home, an operational home, a home for prosperity, for success, or just a warm family home, was the right for everybody. But it was very expensive to have such a home, and he wanted to change that, and he started that journey. And over the years, of course, the IKEA concept have become more and more specialized in providing just that. But the idea has actually stayed the same all the way through all those years.
Okay, and how did that expand and really develop over the years and really evolve?
No, but I mean, maybe to comfort all of us in these days of pandemic, right? If you look back at the IKEA brand, every time there's been a big trouble, with suppliers or prices or currencies or downturns in the economy. Actually, IKEA first have had like a catastrophe situation, and then we've come together and found ways to make us even stronger and come out with solutions and appreciate each other's ideas and thoughts and reinvented parts of the IKEA value chain in order to address whatever situation that was up. And that's also what I would encourage everybody to do here right now. I mean, not only in IKEA, but it's super bad times for many of us. But something good will also come out of it, right? Because we will reinvent and we'll, come out of the COVID crisis with even more relevant than ever, both for IKEA but also for many others.
Yeah.
So the crisis has played a big role for IKEA. Yeah.
Yeah, I love what you said. That's really about reinventing, right? And perhaps the very interesting question there becomes, how is that being part of IKEA's DNA really translate to in the operations and in the countries where you have your stores?
No, but reinventing sits as a part of our DNA, right? And this crisis just brings out the urgency of it even more, right? Because we all humans beings and in the daily life, right? We have some sort of tendency not to be so much on as in a crisis, but the big thing in IKEA that you will all see when we open Passage City, that is that there is this called self-serve, which is part of the IKEA store, where you can actually go around with your trolley and pick up your boxes and do a lot of the work yourself instead of paying others to do so. And you're there anyway, right? So you save money, it gets simpler, and everybody is happy. If you want somebody to pick it for you, of course you can pay for that as well, but you can also have it cheaper and do it on your own. But actually, that came up as an idea when a big store burned down many years up in Stockholm. Then a manager there said, let's just give people access to the inventory, to the warehouse. And then it went so well that everybody said that was a really good idea. Let's continue doing that. So this about trying things out, letting people be accountable wherever they are. That is a big part of everything, and an example for us particularly here in Manila. That is that we are creating the largest store in the world, as you know, and are very proud. And that's partly because Manila is a gigantic city, but it's also because we are inventing new things. We are having a store that is where you can not only shop, but we can also have e-commerce picking back behind the scenes. We can have the call center behind the scene. Everything is integrated in one building, making it easier for us to operate, making it smarter, making it possible to have one stock holding instead of several, making less transport, better for sustainability, better for our customers. Lower cost means lower prices. So everything comes together there. And that is an invention. So we will be the first to try that out, actually, that complete everything under one roof thought, that maximizes, hopefully, customer experience and minimizes price.
Oh yeah, it's really nice you mentioned that already, Christian, that it's actually poised to be the biggest store of IKEA, the one that's going to be here in the Philippines. So Georg, as you're leading that, with this being the biggest one, would you tell us more about it? Like, how is that so? How is it the biggest one, and what are the things that you're working on right now as you're putting that up here in the Philippines?
Yeah, as Christian already said, it is first of all, of course, it is a huge market for us. Just only in Greater Manila, we're talking about roughly 25 million people. And then if you take the whole country, the Philippines, with 110 million people and more than 7,500 islands, will actually require a certain stock situation. So that's why the big part of this huge building is going to be invested into warehousing. A big warehouse for our home delivery and any customers who come and would like to take it away immediately. and the other part is the parcel unit where we will do the fulfillment for e-commerce. We also have to consider that we get everything on the ships imported from our central warehouses in China, in Shanghai, basically, and there's a lead time of a rough 7 weeks. And then we give a promise to our customers, and this promise is you have instant gratification, which means whenever you feel a need, you feel as inspired or attracted by anything, you just can come and you pick it and you go home and you can use it the same day. So you don't need to wait weeks, until you can sit on your nice new sofa, or you use your new, oven to cook in your kitchen. So everything should be on stock for immediate takeaway and instant gratification. And that requires, of course, a certain warehouse space. So that's the reason why it is so big, actually, right? One of the reasons.
Yeah, I love what you mentioned there. I think that's the greatest value there, right? When it comes to customer experience, it's really that instant gratification. And how exactly do you really drive that value closer to the home and to your customers?
First of all, we're going to have a fantastic website where people can, get inspired before they come to visit our store. So we will have an online catalog, of course. We have a website where people would find many solutions and products as you wish so. But mainly we talk about solutions for the homes, providing solutions for living a more sustainable life at home, having more comfort, feeling more safe at home. There's many people who have a lot of challenges in this market with living in small space, sometimes 3, even up to 4 generations living under one roof. And we are expert in living on small space solutions. And we show these solutions, we inspire people, and then they come, and then they would find the same exercise, the same execution also in our store. You walk through an Ikea store, you would find real life homes. So people really feel like connected to their own need from the very first moment, and that's where we actually create an emotional connection to the visitors, and that's the way how we turn them into customers, hopefully, right? So they're going to leave the store being excited and having had a fantastic fun day out at our store, and then what's better than you come home and you already can use what you have been dreaming of for maybe many days, weeks, or in our case, even years, right?
Yeah, I love what you just said, Georg, that it's really about that creating the emotional connection for the customers while they're shopping, and then they're already very excited. They can already bring it home and enjoy that when they already get it, because again, it's instant gratification. That's amazing. Now, when we think about that way, you mentioned you really already touched on the concept of life at home. Now, with reinventing as part of the DNA of IKEA, how do you really operationalize that and tie that to life at home, Christian?
Yeah, the co-workers in IKEA is everything, right? They are our life and soul. So I think it's a lot about them. That's just some of the examples, right, of it. But maybe, and that all comes together in that day out, as we call it. Because going to the IKEA stores is everything is more than a shopping trip. It's a day out, right, where you're inspired. You have a meal together. There's something for everyone, right? And that whole day out, right? And that inspiration is not as easy to create as it sounds, right? We have a special team that's only working with that, right? And that's, of course, an incredible important part, that you come in, you feel inspired, you feel that the room sets and products relate to you in that country that you're in, because a lot of the range is global, but the way that you put it together and then say the last 10% maybe, that you mix in for that particular country makes it really feel local, because our low prices can only be achieved with volume, right? Mm-hmm. So we wouldn't be able to have those prices for Manila or for the whole country if many other countries didn't sell the same product, right? And that is of course the big thing, that we must have volume to get to those prices, and that's also why the store is so big, volume. But it's also our trouble, right? Because accessibility to us is now a little bit more difficult, right? Because if you don't go to Pasay City, right, where else do you go? Well, you go to the internet, of course, and there you can do your e-commerce with us. But of course, we love when people come and visit us. So we need more stores, but for the stores to work, they must be big. For a big store is very expensive, so they must have many customers, and that is maybe the difficult part of the whole value chain there, that everything needs to be so big for it to work. Otherwise, you simply can't get to those low prices that we would like to offer our customers. So there are good and more challenging things in it, right? And that's also, we're not promising lots and lots of stores yet. We are very sort of safe, company. We go in, we see the interest, and we take step by step, right? But of course, our hope is that the country, that the Philippines will love us as much as we already love the Philippines, right? I mean, the team that we have there now are like so enthusiastic about it.
Yeah, we are all very excited to see the brand come here to the Philippines. But Christian, we actually saw just a few days ago, you actually already launched in Mexico, right? But do correct me if I'm wrong. You started with e-commerce, right? What's the inspiration for that?
Now, I can tell you a long story there, but I can also just say the truth, of course. Due to COVID, the store is delayed. So we have stock holding, we have tons of people writing to me, to everybody. So we said, all right, let's. It's not in the concept, actually. You have to get a special permission from the franchisor to do this. But we got permission to open up on e-commerce before the store. But it's actually not really the way to do it. We are very proud and very, very happy with the experience you get to a store. We don't want to be only e-commerce people. We think that you must touch and feel and have that day out. So the reality of it was, due to the COVID crisis, right? The store opening will only be in a few months, so we had the possibility to open ahead of it, and that's why we did it. We may be able to do the same in the Philippines, right? And we will if we can. So it's more if we can get the stock in place and so on, not to drag it out any further.
Yeah. But I love what you mentioned, Christian, that there's that value for touching and feeling the product right there and then. How then did you address that experience, even when you're starting with e-commerce? How do you still create that, as Georg mentioned earlier, that instant gratification, but in the e-commerce setting?
No, but no, it's good, very, very good. The wonderful thing, because now I'm talking to other retailers, right, and I guess they will be very envious when I say this, that my board have never ever asked me about, oh, you're holding too much stock, your stock is too old, la la la. Never ever, So we are in Ikea, we are allowed to stock up, and despite all the cost of that, right? So what we did in Mexico is we stocked up with all the cost of that. And that makes that you still have the nearly instant gratification, right? As fast as we can bring out the goods as for home delivery. But actually our customers in Mexico are saying that it's fast enough. Most people can easily wait a day, 2, or even 3 days, right? And that is instant gratification for them. And I'm wondering what instant gratification is, say in Manila, because my instant gratification is maybe different than yours, right? Actually, my instant gratification is often, no, please don't come today. I have some other stuff to do today. Could you come
Yes.
Friday? So that's how we did it there. Instant gratification is individual, and that's why our services around instant gratification on the net, we have expanded wildly during this crisis, from being very rigid and like this is it, to having a host of services to suit the individual person's needs. More complex, but actually in some way we need that little uppercut in order to do the right thing for the individual, and for the individual only to pay for what that person gets, and not for or if you live closer or further away from the store, pay exactly for what you get and not for more or less, right? So it has brought good things with it. But instant gratification on the net is a bit different, right? Because when you come to the store, you must be able to take it under your arm and go home, right? So that's a different thing, right? And then when like our wonderful glass here, right? That most people can afford, right? You feel it and you say, hey, I like how that sits in my hand. I like the size of it. I'll take one of them, or 10 of them, whatever, right? And I think that I wouldn't go with my family as much to Ikea if it wasn't for that feeling. Hey, I can go there. If I see something, I can bring it home. If it isn't there, I'll complain to Christian about it because it should have been there, and he would be very sorry, and I would be very sorry, right? And it would hopefully be the exception, in particular in Platzer City with that sort of very large warehouse, that something would not be there, right? So and that's very difficult for our competitors to beat that one because we are blind to inventory cost like that. Right? We just it's just part of our DNA to take it.
Mm-hmm. Now, Georg, just taking that what Christian just said about really that instant gratification, and we've seen that in Mexico, it started with e-commerce. How are you translating it now in the Philippines?
Yeah, we have a plan. Our plan is that we're gonna open also e-commerce 9 weeks prior the store opening. This is what we are aiming for. Of course, there are still quite many dependencies. First of all, the building has to be finished, the warehouse has to be finished, so we can start to bring the goods into the warehouse, and then we can start operating. And then that's the timeline, right? We are depending on. And then we're gonna start with a website, with an online presentation of our range, and then we could start distributing our range first, maybe in 2 or 3 steps, starting with the Greater Manila area as a first step, and then Luzon, and as a third step, then we would extend to cover the whole Philippines because, of course, of the complexity of the logistic network, right? Here, it's not so easy thinking about, shipping all the goods all the way down to Mindanao, or even you bring it up to Benguet in the mountains. That requires time. That requires also good logistic partners, which we are currently looking for and signing even a deal soon. So because we need to have good partners on board who also, have a commitment to give a good service to our customers, because they are the last mile partners, and they are representing a brand too, even if they, even if they are working under a different company name. Still, at the end, they are going to deliver Ikea products and Ikea spirit, and also our service, of course. And this takes time. It takes time to train these people, to create understanding, to align with these companies, and to get them on board, to make them understand our approach and our customer service attitude, and everything which is connected to be a good partner with our people, with the customers here in the Philippines.
Mm-hmm. Now, with that logistics being worked out right now, no. How about that concept of really reinventing life at home? How are you localizing that here in the Philippines, Georg?
Well, we have, Christian mentioned that also already, we have been visiting roughly, I would say, 500 homes. We got insight how people live here. So we know the daily challenges people have here, whether they live on a small space or a big space. There is in any home, there is solutions which would deserve improvement, right? Or there is, as in any home, things people would like to change for a new item, right? And so we have been digging into people's life at home from the very morning up to the very late evening, starting, how you start your day, bathroom, kitchen, breakfast, dinner, lunch, socializing, what is the way how you gonna, sleep, what makes you feel comfortable, what do you need in order to feel happy, safe, secured, how you can socialize with your friends, how you can make parties, how you can do your favorite karaoke parties here in the Philippines. And what do you need for this? And how do you eat, right? So all the way down to the fact that we know that the Filipinos don't need a knife, for example. That's a very small thing, right? Seems to be very small. But you know, the way how you set up a table here is so different compared to Europe or Singapore, for example. So we even adopted our range. So now you can buy range, you can buy cutlery in Ikea, which doesn't contain a knife because you don't need it, right? It would just add to the price, and you would not need it. It would just be stored in your drawer, and that doesn't make sense. So we have now range which just contains a spoon and a fork. This is what you need, right? And then that makes you happy. You don't need a knife. So that's one example, and we have many of these examples. How to really respect the local conditions and create local relevant solutions.
Yes. Now, since you already touched on how there's already a change in life at home, right? And with this pandemic hitting us this year in 2020, we've really seen that significant change in life at home as people are now working from home, like Christian, right? So how has that changed the landscape for you, especially for you, Christian, in a regional perspective? How has that changed the dynamics of the business for you?
A lot actually, and there we have been lucky, right? I mean, I know if you're in tourism or in travel, I mean, it's not so nice, right? But for us actually, what we see is that there's a renewed interest and respect for the home. That has always been there, because I mean, anybody you speak to, of course they have something for their home, no matter. So that has come up, and of course we are reacting to that, but like we always do, with even more super availability of products, instant gratification, as we spoke about, and lower prices, right? So what we have done is that we have invested in prices downwards, right? So, like one of our guys said the other day, when it rains, we sell umbrellas, but actually when it rains, we sell umbrellas at a lower price. It's in that way, it's been fantastic for us to see this renewed interest in the home. At the same time, we also got even I with a financial background, I must say I was a bit shocked, because the few months that we were totally closed, with 3,500 people on payroll, is one thing, right? And we protected our co-workers, of course we did. But our properties, right? They are expensive. The stores, empty stores. That was some scary months for us, where our cash reserves and so on were not depleted, but came down to levels that we had not really tried before. So we are highly leveraged for volume, for the low prices, but being closed down, that was a tough period. Now that we are open again, and we trade with a lot of restrictions and all sort of things we have to do to save, for safe and healthy trade. But it's fantastic to see that interest in the home that COVID have brought in. Now that people spend more time at home, so we are thankful for that, and of course are trying to do our best to play a role in that.
Yes, and you mentioned that definitely it was a really tough time with all these restrictions, right? And how did you guys adapt to those restrictions, and still making sure that you still create that that Ikea brand experience for your customers of reinventing life at home?
No, but I'm from Denmark, but the one thing that I like about being a Swedish company is what the Swedish have going for them, and that is structure, and that sort of stuff, right? Way more than maybe like a Dane like me. So what we actually did is that we had interviews with the authorities in all our countries. The same actually in Manila, right, on on the construction side and so on, right? But primarily for the operating units, and find out, what are the requirements in this country? How can we be even better than the requirements? How can we policify, right? Make policies and processes. What equipment do we need to buy to be the safest place you can go during COVID, right? So we bought these big, temperature scanners from the airports and so on. Maybe way overkill, but we said, that sort of stuff should not keep us from opening. So I would say we addressed it with structure and by overperforming on safety and health. And it's maybe sounds easier than it is, but you know how it is. One thing is to write a policy and a process. Another thing is actually to follow it. So it took a lot out of us to really do this in a good way, and for all of us really to buy into it and say that health of ourselves, our families, our co-workers, and our customers, there is nothing more important. Therefore, we do it like this and this and that, right? So we have entrance control of all our units, right? And apps to monitor how many you have in the building, and when we have to say stop, and how to cue people outside, how to keep them happy outside, with a little bit of a treat, of a water or a snack or something, right? So that everybody is happy but being healthy, right? That's basically how we did it.
Yeah, that's right. And I love what you said. At the end of the day, it's all about execution, right? Now, Georg, in the midst of all of these restrictions brought about by the pandemic, as you're leading the move to the Philippines right now, how did you adapt to that? And especially since we did mention earlier, like, you really believe in how fundamental it is to have the right people for sustainable growth, right? So how did you adapt to that and still onboard people for the move in the Philippines?
Yeah, that was a challenge. We were confronted with the fact mid of March that there was this lockdown, right? Full lockdown of 11 weeks with no physical contact to anybody. Curfew, nobody was allowed to go out. We were not allowed to go to the office. And we were in the middle of a recruitment campaign for our leaders and managers. When we locked down, we were like 21 people. And then when we actually could return to the office end of June, we more than doubled our team. And yeah, basically we did what everybody did. We interviewed people virtually a lot. There was a lot of virtual meetings, of course. The whole recruitment process was done virtually, so to speak, until the very moment people could come and finally sign the contract. And it went on also with the trainings. We had fantastic plans in the beginning. We wanted to send many people to our beautiful stores in Malaysia and in Thailand to give them a feeling and a sense of a running store, operating store, sending them for store attachment, so they learn really on the shop floor what it means to be in an Ikea store as a co-worker or as a manager or whatever, with the whole program attached to it, which was already worked out. Even the plane tickets sometimes were even already booked, right? So everything of this had to be basically canceled, and we had to start from scratch and develop super quick an online training program. We have not only trained our people, we also had to keep the spirit up, right? Because we are people lovers. Normally we spend a lot of time together. Like we love to socialize, and that was a new situation for us. So we had to do things, we had to come up with activities, online activities, to keep the spirit up of the team here, not only in the Philippines, entire region. We did yoga classes, we did dancing, we were singing, we had riddles, we had a lot of fun also together, right? Besides working all day long and being front of a flat screen and a lot of internet connection challenges and all these things, we still managed to keep the spirit up and differentiate us a little bit from maybe the previous employers people had before, right? Or the previous everyday life people had when they had still a chance to go to the store and to go to the office. So everything online. I am not saying I like it. I still prefer, the real life. Still prefer social contact. But I think we have managed to make the best out of it, and we continue doing so, right? So we still do recruitment. We still do it virtually, and of course we became also better on our way. So it evolved in a good kind of understanding of this tool of Zoom and Microsoft Teams and Viber and WhatsApp and you name them. There's so many ways to get connected. I think many of us have learned this year a lot when it comes to how to use these new medias, right? But that's how we did it. We had to do it.
Yeah, I love that. I believe that's really a testimony to the DNA of the brand being about reinventing, and so you're also reinventing the work dynamics, right? And what it's like to be part of the company. That's amazing. Now, as we're moving out of the pandemic, and we're now gaining momentum again globally. What are the key things that you've learned from the pandemic, and what sustainability efforts are you putting now in place for continuous growth in Ikea, Christian?
No, to be honest, and that's also a self-reflection on myself. I think what we take from this crisis is to be way better at listening to each other. All of us, right? Not like manager to manager. No, everybody to listen to each other, because actually many of the ideas and input and hard work is not done by me, right? It's actually done by the guys meeting the customers, of driving the fork truck, the trucks and all that work. So listening and delegating. That is my enormous learning here. We must trust each other. We must listen to each other even better. And I think we came from a good place, like Georg said, but we must be even better. And then the sustainability, that gives all of us such a lot of energy, right? I mean, when I speak to my children and family and friends and so on, right? I mean, it's one of those things that, everybody is just interested in from us and from each other, right? So that has been for years a big thing, right? And we have done a lot already but there's more to do. Right? So as you might know, right, we were among the first to put solar panels on all our stores, all our shopping centers, but I think the big thing that we could do better, that is to be maybe a little bit less humble and try better to educate or tell our customers about our learnings globally about it, because living a sustainable life at home, is in one way simple, and if you know how to do it, small things, right, that makes a difference. Some of our products that are super inexpensive but makes a big difference. Our water taps or the garbage distribution systems, or products made out of renewable material and so on. So what we have done is we have made actually very concrete dashboards on authority level, things we like to tell authorities and stakeholders like yourself, hey, look, this is how we are. But also very detailed dashboards on store and shopping center level, where we go down to the very detail of our consumption and reduction programs, right? In order to be 100% sure that we can stand in for every liter of water that we are using and so on, and can look each other in the eyes, say that liter of water was necessary. Why couldn't we also collect that from, we are collecting water already from our roofs, right? But, could we do more there and so on? So I would say that out of the crisis came also a renewed energy for being sustainable, and not only, like I said, for our customers that wants us to be, but actually our co-workers. They partly work for us because they trust that we will, and they want to be a part of it, right? So education of each other and our customers, that's I think a big thing. Then all the other stuff we can do on products and our properties, and also a new thing that we have not told each other that explicit before as a part of sustainability, but which is now a very firm leg, and that's what we call equality and fairness. Something that I as a Dane, sort of assumed would just happen by itself, but unfortunately it doesn't always, right? So fairness and equality will also be way more followed up now with measures and with talks and discussions and business planning, so that if we do have upsides here and there, which we do, to do things better, then we'll identify them and work them, and not just like I've done a little bit in the past, saying now, say gender balance, that will happen by itself. Unfortunately, not in any country at least, right? So we will work way more with these things, and I'm really happy that is one of the things that is coming out of this crisis, that in energy for these matters.
Yeah. Now, Georg, you mentioned earlier about that step-by-step expansion plan here in the Philippines, right? We're starting from Greater Manila area to Luzon and then to the rest of the Philippines. Now, when we think of sustainability, how are you working on that in perspective of local sourcing? How are you working that out as you're looking to expand throughout the Philippines?
Well, when it comes to local sourcing, we will start to sell Philippine products in our store when it comes to life plants. So we will have life plants which are grown here in Laguna, actually. That's the first thing. We also will have local sourced appliances, kitchen worktops, for example, and then we have a lot of suppliers for our food restaurant operations. So this is the field where we start with, right? And it's just the beginning, because usually in Ikea we either we start with producing and then we come with retail in later, or it's the other way around. So it's just a matter of time when we also will source even more for our operations in the Philippines. The challenge, though, is that if you become an Ikea supplier, you need to be capable to supply the entire world. So you cannot only supply one store, you need to have the capacity to supply 500 stores in 52 countries under very strict requirements. We have a clear code of conduct, we have our I-Way, which is the way how we purchase goods. And becoming a partner for Ikea is only about a sustainable future together, and it's a long-term relationship. But it really has to be acknowledged that we require a certain volume, we require a certain quality, and then we require also a certain standard. And one of it is, of course, protecting people working at the suppliers. Christian just said fair and equal, right? Like how people are paid, how the hours they work are recorded, how these companies treat the environment, what is their wastewater treatment, how do they treat the kind of toxic materials, and. So there's a lot of things. It's even very transparent. Everybody can have a look at this, so it's no secret. Everybody who is interested can click and visit on ikea.com. There is all the materials you need to know if you want to become an Ikea supplier. So in the future, yes, in the beginning, we will have locally sourced products in our range. We will sell them. And it's about to grow in the future, definitely.
Thank you so much for that, Georg. And we're very excited to really get that our own experience here in the Philippines of the IKEA brand of reinventing life at home, especially towards sustainability. Unfortunately, we're running out of time, but thank you so much for joining us for this episode, Christian and Georg. This was really another insightful conversation. We're so much better for it. Now, thank you, of course, to our viewers for supporting another episode of Let's Talk Retail. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Christian, Georg, thank you so much for being here for this episode. Again, I'm Raf Layosa of RetailGate, signing off for this episode. Thank you and stay safe, everyone.